You're on the Six Screens Telenetwork, earning the reputation of giving all the right ingredients, uninhibited in exposing the hard, cold facts about the Watchtower Society.
And now, the end is near.
Well, I mean, they've been saying that for years, right? The end is near. Well, my name's Rick Ferrin. I'm coming to you from the apostate capital of the world, right up here in Boston, Massachusetts. And we are so glad to have you all coming in tonight. And tonight, I'll tell you what, the colder it gets, the more miserable the winter is, the more people come into the Six Screen. So we want to welcome all those people coming into the Six Screen tonight. We really do appreciate your presence. I'm just going to mute some people on our telephone line. Remember, always hit *6 when you're done talking. So I'm going to do that right now. So, yeah, we have telephone lines hooked up here. I'm just going to make sure we get this all. When you come on our program, what you do is you hit *6 to unmute yourself, and then you'll hit *6 to mute yourself after you're done talking. Let me just do that now so we'll have a nice clear line. Okay, we get that now. Well, anyways, like I say, my name's Rick Ferrin as it is, and we've been doing this now. In fact, just yesterday, that was the 26th. Folks, I'm going to ask you, Stephen in Chicago, would you just mute your phone, hit *6? Just mute your phone. Yeah, do that for me, Stephen, okay? Yeah, it's interfering with the broadcast here. All right. So, so anyways, I just wanted to talk about January 26th, which was yesterday. That was our 19th anniversary of coming to you on the Six Screens Telenetwork. And, we started 19 years ago. And, boy, we've come a long way since then. When we started back then, 19 years ago, there was only 5 people on YouTube exposing the Jehovah's Witnesses. And we were on YouTube then, and then we went off for a while and went on Facebook. Now we're back on YouTube. But just to give you an idea, there's only about 5 people back then doing YouTube videos about Jehovah's Witnesses. And we were the first to get 1,000, from what I can remember, we were the first to get 1,000 members. 1,000 people that joined the Six Screen. So we've been doing this for a while, and I'm so glad that, we're still doing it. We've never missed a Saturday night. I know this is very important to a lot of people that have been coming out of the Watchtower. This is like a therapy session in many respects. You're going to hear people calling in tonight from all over the world, voicing their opinions on many of the things that we share in our news. We give the news, and our audience spins the news. So that's what we're going to be doing here tonight. But I'm glad you're with us. I just wanted to briefly talk again about the convention coming up. It looks like in August. All goes well, August 1st, 2nd, and 3rd of 2025, we're going to have the first ever ex-Jehovah's Witness convention. And that's going to be up here in the Boston area. I've already got 84 people that are interested in coming. They've sent me emails. Every day I get emails from people all over the world. Really, it's unbelievable. New Zealand, the United Kingdom, and they all want to come to the ex-witness convention. What a time we are going to have. If all goes well, like I say, August 1st, 2nd, 3rd, but don't go book any flights yet. I'm still working out the dates because the hotel still hasn't given me the dates. But to make a long story short, it's going to be a 3-day convention. It'll be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. On Friday, we're going to have a meet and greet session where all the people coming in will give you a chance. Everyone will get the microphone, and they can tell us about their trek in the Watchtower. Each one will have 5 or 10 minutes to do that. So that's going to be great on Friday. And then we're going to have some speakers come in, some authors come in, and we're going to try to get some big name people from YouTube as well to come in and tell us all about how they put the YouTube channels together and what have you. So that is going to be amazing. So if you can make it, now you can write me at JW World News. We're giving out tickets. It's free. It's free to come. We're trying to find ways to help as many people as possible who can't afford to come. I had a woman from Miami. Well, she wrote me the other day. She says that she's willing to help 2 people and put them up in a bed and have them have a room. So I want to thank that woman from Miami. So she did write me and tell me that. Now, the tickets are numbered. You're going to get a numbered ticket. Write me at JW World News at gmail.com, and I'm giving out numbered tickets. Now, you don't have your tickets yet because I'm waiting for the date. But I have all you people have written me through my website and through our JW World News. But I want you to do it through JW World News, then there'll be no confusion. So you can write me, and when I get the date solidified, I'm going to send you an email ticket with a number on it. And when you come to the convention, we're going to have room for about 500 people. So if we go over that, you might have to listen in through the doorway or peek through the window or something, but we only have room for about 500. So the first, people write in, get the numbered tickets, they're going to have the seats. So by all means, think about it. Think about it. Now, listen, also on our website, if you were traveling in from some part of the country and you feel that you could also help someone get here by joining in with them, they could hook a ride with you and they could help you with the gas. Or even if you, like the woman from Miami, if you have a room and you only need one bed, but there's 2 beds or 3 beds, well, you can let someone who can't afford to have a hotel room stay with you. Or if you've done well in life and you're a Jehovah's Witness that has left and you have a good job, you're making a lot of money, and you say, geez, I'd like to help somebody, well, go to 6 screens of thewatchtower.com, scroll down the bottom, and you can donate some funds to help someone come here. Now, I'm not saying you have to do that, but some people have already done it. So if you would like to help some people come here, and that would be appreciated. I'll be very transparent. I will tell you the funds coming in and where they're going and all of that. So if you want to do that, that would be very helpful as well, because we're going to make this a big, big event. And I can't believe it. I get up every day and there's an email. Rick, book me in. I keep telling it to my wife. She says, Rick, don't get excited. Don't get too excited. You sure these people are coming? I says, well, they're writing me. I'm not going to hold you hostage if you can't come. But if you could come, wow, I think that would be wonderful. All right. So anyways, if you hear this sound tonight, we do this every week. That's the duck. Yeah, we got a duck. And if the duck comes down, you see him right over my head here. Here he is here. If the duck comes down, you say the secret word, but you have 2 secret words tonight. If you say the secret word, he comes down, he'll give you $20. So let's see if you can't say the secret word. Now, another thing that's new here tonight, and I'm going to put this up if anyone wants to do this. Of course, you can call in real time. I'm going to put the telephone number. And something else we're doing here, we're going to start this. I've tried it before, but it doesn't seem like anyone wanted to really come on live streaming. But you can either call into the program. You can see it right there on YouTube and Facebook. You can join us in live conversation by dialing the number 727-731-6701. Hit *6 to unmute yourself. Or if you'd like to come on video, or if you'd like to come on and you don't have to be seen on video, we can hear you through StreamYard. We can block your face up, but we'll hear you. If you'd like to come on StreamYard, send me an email to that jwworldnews@gmail.com, and I'll send you a link. And all you'll have to do is hit the link. And if you have a webcam and a microphone, you'll be able to come on live tonight, and you can talk to us and comment. So give that a shot. Yeah, you might like that. Something different. All right. Well, let's see what's going on behind the curtains of the Watchtower. I don't know if you saw this at all, but I saw it this week, and it really, I know it's a rumor. It can't be true, but, some people were speaking about it as being true. But Lady Gaga becoming one of Jehovah's Witnesses, have you heard that? I did, but let me just get a picture up here of Lady Gaga. I want you to see that. So anyways, there's rumors floating around out in the witness world that Lady Gaga, well, there's a picture of her right there, is wanting to become one of Jehovah's Witnesses. Now, these rumors, in fact, I traced them. I did a little research on it. These rumors swirled all the way back to 2016. And some even thought then that Lady Gaga was studying with the Jehovah's Witnesses. And they based some of their thoughts on what she said about Prince. The rock star Prince, he was one of Jehovah's Witnesses. That's confirmed. But they thought she was becoming a witness too because of what she said about Prince after he died. What she said was just basic Christian platitudes about God needing him in heaven. People make comments like that when someone dies, right? Well, God took him to heaven. So Lady Gaga, because she made a comment to Prince, and more than likely she went to his funeral, and she made the comments that God needed Prince in heaven. So many people assumed, oh, Lady Gaga, she's going to become a Jehovah's Witness. Unbelievable. So there doesn't appear to be any basis for us to really say that this is true. There is nothing that I came across on the internet that is showing us that Lady Gaga wants to be one of Jehovah's Witnesses. It's just mind-boggling. It blows my mind and your mind how the Jehovah's Witness rumor mill, it always gets blown out of proportion. I think you folks also can remember Johnny Carson. Many people said that he was studying with the Jehovah's Witnesses. And then some even said Glenn Campbell was studying with the Jehovah's Witnesses. You probably heard that. Well, Lady Gaga in no way could ever become one of Jehovah's Witnesses. Why? Well, first of all, she's too supportive of the LGBTQ community. She couldn't become one of Jehovah's Witnesses. If the witnesses just saw pictures of her or just saw her involved in some of these rock shows she goes to, you could tell right there she's not going to want to be a Jehovah's Witness. Now, we've heard so many rumors in the Jehovah's Witness world. We've heard about John Denver. Remember that? John Denver was floating around that he was at a concert and he stood up and said, if you're a Jehovah's Witness, I don't want you here. I don't know if that's ever truthful or not, but all of these rumors from the Jehovah's Witness rumor mill seem to take off like a rocket. And even another rumor I came across, when Elvis the Pelvis Presley died, well, on his night table, some of the witnesses were suggesting, or at least passing around, that Elvis Presley died, and what was on his night table or his nightstand when he died? A Watchtower magazine. Did you hear that one? I mean, these are the type stuff that you hear in the world of Jehovah's Witnesses. Well, that's amazing to me. I don't think there's anybody out there that would agree with the Jehovah's Witnesses, at least those starting the rumor, that Lady Gaga is wanting to be one of Jehovah's Witnesses. Isn't that something? But, Jehovah's Witnesses have had their big-time celebrities become a witness. Oh, many of them. I can just think of probably the biggest was Michael Jackson, right? Well, he was a witness. And so, see, maybe where these high-profile entertainers become a witness like him and Prince, maybe what it does is it fuels the flames for the witnesses to kind of catapult off of that and more or less say, wow, look at that. Michael Jackson, now Lady Gaga. Well, Lady Gaga, I can tell you right now, is not studying with the Jehovah's Witnesses. They wouldn't put up with her for 1 minute. Of course, they put up with Serena Williams, right? Yeah, they did that. But, she's a known bisexual. From what I understand, I mean, I can't confirm it, but Lady Gaga is a known bisexual. And you think the witnesses are going to allow her to study the Bible? Absolutely not. Well, you're on JW World News. That's the news the Watchtower doesn't want us talking about. But did you want to say something? Did you want to speak up and say something about Lady Gaga? Do you think that she... Yes.
Yeah, it's not about Lady Gaga, but I was going to say, I'm sure you heard about it, but when I was going to the Kingdom Hall and studying about this is back in the 80s, about the Smurf doll that started speaking and he ran out of the front doors on fire. Did you ever hear that? That was a well-known story.
I did hear that, and everybody believed it. Jeff,
I believe it too.
Everyone believed it, that this Smurf doll came alive and demons were operating through him. And I would say 90% of all Jehovah's Witnesses believe that story. Crazy, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, it was supposed to be a Spanish congregation and all that other stuff. So, I mean, there's a difference between English and Spanish, and so that kind of puts a little bit of a roadblock on it. And anyway, that I laugh about it today. What a bunch of garbage! I mean, I have a hard time believing any of it. But go ahead, sir. Thank you.
Well, no, thank you for bringing that up. I really do appreciate that. I mean, we've heard all kinds of rumors. Maybe someone else out there heard something that maybe we haven't heard. Have you ever heard anything outrageous being spread around in the Jehovah's Witness world? Go ahead. You're on with us. He'll love to hear what you have to say. Go ahead. Yep.
Well, I was going to say, if you're talking about, Lady Gaga, she's being a bisexual or whatever, I think I remember, you can read about Prince. I think he might have been a switch hitter a few times himself. They let him in the Watchtower. So don't say it could never happen, Rick.
Yeah.
They say Prince, he'd do anything once.
Well, even Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson, I can't confirm he was a pedophile, but some people said he was.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he was found not guilty. But then when you were, you mentioned Elvis, I never heard the story about the Watchtower on his nightstand. But when he died, Rick, he had a girlfriend living there, shacking up with him. He wasn't married to, and when he was on his toilet, when he croaked, he was reading a dirty magazine. So I don't think he was thinking about God when he croaked.
Unbelievable. Well, thank you, Mike, for checking in with us. I always appreciate you calling in. Let's go to looks like 787. Go ahead, 787.
Yeah. Hello.
Hello.
You hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you really fine. Go ahead.
Me?
We can hear you. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, Rick, this is Ismael Amador from Puerto Rico.
Hello, Islam. Good to talk to you.
I sent you comments. I always watch you every Saturday and Sunday, too. I like your program. I was a witness. I'm 73 years old. I was indoctrinated from youth. Got baptized at 16. I regret it. And I came out. The Watchtower destroyed my family, everything. Luckily, I worked and got my Social Security, but I would be real bad now. But I'm okay now. I'm always watching, and I believe in Christ. I believe in Jehovah. I still have my faith, but I enjoy your program very much. Thank you very much, Rick, and everybody there, right?
Oh, really appreciate you calling in. Thank you very much yourself. Okay, let's go with 630. You're on with us. 630. Go ahead. All right, let's go with 630. Do you want to say something? You're on. Go ahead.
Hey, Rick, how's it going? It's Mark.
Mark.
How are you?
Doing good. I wasn't sure that was you. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, that was me. How are you, sir? I know I haven't talked to you in a while, but I hope you're doing very good in every good and positive way. Yeah, I find it's a very interesting story. But remember, Rick, there's rumors always going around about celebrities joining the Jehovah's Witnesses, and most of the time they're not true. And like you mentioned, the same thing with Johnny Carson. I remember hearing that rumor about him becoming a Jehovah's Witness, and he never, ever did become a Jehovah's Witness, like, ever. There was just a rumor because there was a couple of band members, in his actual band of the Tonight Show that were Jehovah's Witnesses. So, maybe that had something to do with it, that they were trying to get him in, to the very screwball cult of the JWs, because he had people, that were part of his show, and very much involved with the JWs. So that's where that rumor all started. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Well, that's what rumors like that start, Mark. Yep.
That's for sure. So, but no, he never became one, and he was smart not to. For him, I was kind of surprised he would even have anyone who was involved in Jehovah's Witnesses as part of his show, and as part of the Tonight Show band. I mean, that was very strange. I found that real interesting, because usually JWs, we know, are not allowed to be in show business. They're not allowed to really be in show business at all. I mean, we know there are exceptions if they're looking to get money from them, but other than that, they're usually never allowed to, to do really anything like that. I mean, We know that, like I said, the exceptions were with Michael Jackson and Prince and George Benson is that they probably could get a lot of good money from them, which they no doubt did. So that was their purpose to making exceptions with those famous type celebrities. And that's what I truly believe. Okay.
Well, I know you're right. And Serena Williams with another big star.
Serena Williams. Yep.
Yeah.
Serena Williams too. I would say they're looking to get a lot of money from her and everything. They made exceptions with her being this famous tennis star and everything. So yep, same thing with her too. So and that doesn't that's just how it works. And just so you know too, I knew of some Major League Baseball players who were Jehovah's Witnesses, and they got milked for a lot of money too, big time, by the Jehovah's Witnesses. Absolutely. So I knew, I've known some people. There was always exceptions made, for certain people. As long as they got money, then the JWs can, have some,
the Watchtower can have their hand out. I mean, you get rich Jehovah's Witnesses, they're going to give you money, no doubt about it. Okay.
Absolutely. So that was their whole idea. That was the bottom line to it. That's, they're money grabbers. So, they can always bend the rules from time to time for certain exceptions.
Well, thank you, Mark. I appreciate you coming on, Mark. We do have another caller coming in from 630.
Right, thank you, Rick.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. 630, the caller we just on. You want to come back? 630, the other caller from the Chicago area. You want to come back on? Thank you. Thank you very much, Mark. All right, let's go to Dick Borgie. Dick Borgie, you're on 978. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Rick. Lady Gaga isn't known for her modesty. Neither is Janet Jackson. I don't know if Janet was ever baptized a Jehovah's Witness. I know her brother was. Serena Williams posed nude with Sports Illustrated. But these are all indications that the rules can be bent if you're a celebrity. Thank you.
Well, just like Mark said, the Jehovah's Witnesses, the organization, they love to have a rich witness. I mean, rich witnesses, what they do is they're willing to give the Watchtower a lot of money. So they love the rich witnesses. Well, we're going to talk a little bit about the live streaming this month for January. The Watchtower organization, of course, what they do is they do live streaming, as we all know. And they had one for January just a few days ago. But I just wanted to talk about it a little bit because I think you'll find it very fascinating what we do have to say, and we'll share it on YouTube as well. But Jeffrey Jackson, there was a number of governing body members that gave like a symposium talk, and there was a big elephant in the room. And even Jackson brought this out about the big elephant in the room, and we're going to get to that. But before I do, I just want to bring you up to speed. What's really happening is there's some doctrinal change taking place in the Watchtower. And I'm not sure how it's going to go over. It might go over like a lead balloon. But as for now, I think most of the witnesses are accepting it. Now, what the doctrinal change is we were told when I was one of Jehovah's Witnesses that before the Great Tribulation started, that you would have had to become one of Jehovah's Witnesses in order to be saved and get into the new system. That was the teaching when I was one of Jehovah's Witnesses. It probably was the teaching when you were one of Jehovah's Witnesses, that, you had to get in before the ark doors closed. And that's basically the suggestion they made in the past is in Noah's day, before the flood really began, and it started raining, well, the doors of the ark closed, and none of those people could get into the ark. So the Jehovah's Witness religion, they said the doors of the ark closed right before the Great Tribulation started. Well, now they made a monumental change. They are now saying the doors of the ark did not close. In fact, it's going to go right up to the point of Armageddon when someone can become a witness. I'm not really sure where the Watchtower, well, I do see they could benefit by this. It's going to allow more people to say, well, I'll kind of play around here a little bit, but, another year or so, I'll join the witnesses. Maybe they're looking for future recruits. I'm not sure. But Jackson talked about that. But then also, I'm going to play a little clip. We won't spend a lot of time on this here tonight. but I'm going to play a little clip about 48 minutes in. And Jackson talks about the big elephant in the room. And I think I'll just kind of reiterate it, and I'll play the clip so you can hear it. Now, we all knew, at least I used to believe this, and I know many listeners to this broadcast have believed this too. We sometimes would kind of hope that some of our relatives and friends would die before Armageddon. Now, why would we hope that? I know I used to think it. I was hoping my mother-in-law, and that's a terrible thing to say, I didn't want her to die, but some of my friends who were not Jehovah's Witnesses, I was kind of thinking, boy, wouldn't it be good if they died before Armageddon, and then they have a chance of coming back in the resurrection? You guys know that, right? I know I'm preaching to the choir, but that's what I thought. But now Jackson, in this live streaming coming out of Warwick, with Jackson, he's talking about that's a change now. Now, I'm going to bring you in. Let's listen to him. Let me just cue this up so you can see it. I'm going to share it here. Just give me a second. I'm going to cue it up to the right time slot. And I just want you to hear this. I found it really, really fascinating. So let me just go back to 42. Okay, 42:20. I just got to get the timestamp here. 42:20. I want you to hear this. This is something that you might get a kick out of. 42:20. Let's start right there. This is Jackson, Jeffrey Jackson.
Once the Great Tribulation starts, so we saw there in the chart with the destruction of Babylon the Great. So once it starts, is there a door of opportunity for non-believers to actually join us in serving Jehovah? Is there a door of opportunity? What have we said in the past? We've said, no, there will not be an opportunity for people to join us at that time. Now, why did we say that? Well, basically, we viewed the account of the flood as being a type and antitype portrayal, and that we thought the fact that the door of the ark was closed prior to the flood coming indicated that the door of opportunity would close once the Great Tribulation started. But of course, it's true, Jesus did compare the time of Noah with the presence of him as a reigning king. But notice Jesus didn't say anything that indicated this was a type-antitype arrangement, and he certainly didn't mention anything with regard to a door of opportunity closing. So let's think about that question again. Once the Great Tribulation starts, is there a door of opportunity still available? Well, to answer that, looking at this time chart, remember the judgment of the sheep and the goats, the final judgment occurs when? Not at the beginning, but towards the end.
Okay, so we get a little idea of what he's talking about. He's talking about the tribulation. People still have an opportunity to become Jehovah's Witnesses during the tribulation. But let's go to that point I was trying to make with you about the big elephant in the room. That's at 48:50. So let me just bring you in here. I want you to hear this. Listen closely to what he says now. This is something that we all talked about. Listen to Jackson.
Make the right decision, the right choice. Well, again, we can't be dogmatic, but we certainly hope that would be the case. Now, while we're talking about this, let's talk about the elephant in the room. What do we mean? Well, some of us in the past, we're not going to mention names, but some of us have said, my unbelieving relative, or I hope he dies before the Great Tribulation. We know what you've been saying.
Well, you hear the witnesses laughing. Jackson's, giving that address, and the witnesses are laughing. But wait a minute. This is what the governing body taught. I mean, that was like, wasn't a rumor, but all the witnesses knew it. You probably thought, well, if one of my relatives dies before Armageddon, they have a chance of coming back in the resurrection. So you almost not hope, but you're kind of thinking, boy, it would be good if they died before Armageddon. What a sadistic position that is to take in life. But it's a governing body that told us that, basically. Listen to Jackson.
He said, because if he dies before the Great Tribulation, he'll have a chance of a resurrection. But during, But let's think about that. You see, does someone's eternal salvation depend on when they die? Or does it depend on really their heart condition? You see, the merciful judge of the earth knows their heart condition.
All right, well, we'll stop it right there. So you got the idea. You got the idea. How many times really can the Watchtower make changes, never apologize for a change? People believe certain things. Now they're going to believe something else. And you hear all the witnesses laughing. It's no laughing matter. These are the things that we were taught at one time by Jehovah's Witnesses. So anyways, I just wanted to bring that up tonight. That's Jackson. Now, the other thing I want to discuss tonight, and I think it's really great to see so many countries coming down on the Jehovah's Witnesses. Friends, I have to tell you, it's not just the apostates. We're making a lot of inroad exposing the witnesses. But I'm going to tell you what's even helping us unbelievably is all of these nations, the governments that are coming down on the witness world. The newest one here is the Netherlands. Boy, they have got the Jehovah's Witnesses under the microscope in the Netherlands. And it all has to do with an inquiry. If you remember, we talked about it here on the 6 screens, but in the middle of 2023, somewhere around June of 2023, the Dutch government ordered a national scientific research on data to start an inquiry into how sexual abuse is handled into religious organizations and communities. So around the middle of 2023, the Dutch government said, hey, look, religions are getting away with murder. They're pedophiles. They're sexually abusing children in these religious groups. Now, it's the Watchtower that brought this investigation about. The Dutch government, hearing about what happened in Europe and some other countries, realized the Jehovah's Witnesses are an evil organization and hiding pedophilia. They seen what went on in Australia as well. So they started an inquiry, and it started with the Jehovah's Witnesses. So the Dutch government says, man, if the witnesses are getting away with this, well, other religions must be also getting away with it. So they really took a concerted effort here to really broaden out the inquiry. So the Dutch government not only at first looked at Jehovah's Witnesses, but now they're examining the Roman Catholic Church, Protestant churches, Islam, Hinduism, Orthodox Christians, evangelicals, Pentecostal groups, Buddhism, Jehovah's Witnesses, Judaism, Anglican Church, and others. So there you go. So the Watchtower, these other religions are probably saying, thank you, Watchtower. See what you started now? Now they're investigating us too. But you know what I really found surprising here, right after the inquiry here of all of these other religious groups, and of course the witnesses being looked at under the microscope, the Jehovah's Witness organization, i.e. Watchtower, the Jehovah's Witness leaders immediately, just about immediately send a letter to the Dutch government and ask that the inquiry be stopped or suspended. Yeah, they wrote a letter saying, stop this inquiry. This is not fair what you're doing. We're going to ask you to stop it because you really can't believe what the people are saying. Well, not so fast, Watchtower. Don't you love how the Watchtower thinks they can dictate to governments on how things will go? Yeah, this is what the Watchtower does. They actually dictate. They tell the government how to run their business. Well, not so fast as we say, Watchtower. That isn't the case. And every day it becomes clearer and clearer that this cult and the Watchtower leadership is very, very evil. They are willfully evil. It's one thing being evil. It's another thing being willfully evil. Excuse me. And that's exactly what the Watchtower is, willfully evil. I'm sorry. So isn't it funny? Now, I want you to stop and think about this. I want you to put your thinking caps on here. Okay, so the Jehovah's Witnesses, of course, they always scream persecution. Whenever the governments come down on the witnesses, oh, we're being persecuted. Oh, heaven, baby, oh my goodness, we need Jehovah to help us. We're being persecuted by Satan and the agents of Satan. Well, it's funny that Jehovah's Witnesses scream persecution, but now all of a sudden we have other religions being investigated too. So the government is also adding persecution to these other religions to the list. So it's just not the witnesses, but I can't imagine what excuse the Jehovah's Witnesses can possibly use. You could say, well, wait a minute, Jehovah's Witnesses, you're not the only ones being persecuted. You're always complaining about being persecuted, but it's other religions as well. Well, what excuse is the Watchtower going to give on that one? I just got thinking here of a scripture. Romans 1:2. Let every person be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except for God, and those that exist have been instituted by God. So the authorities, right there in Romans 1:2, is saying have been instituted by God. Therefore, whoever resists the authority resists what God has appointed, and those who resist will incur judgment. So the scripture is so plain. I mean, Jehovah's Witnesses claim to be the only true Christian religion. Do they read that scripture? Romans 1:2? It says right there that if you resist the authorities, you're resisting God. Well, that is, come on, let's get real. So they are resisting the authorities by challenging them. Would they want you to challenge the government? Heaven forbid, no. But here they are forbidding it. And hey, look at, they're going to suffer from their consequences. There's no doubt about that. So you're on JW World News. If you have any thoughts, if you'd like to come in, if you'd like to make a comment on any of this, well, my goodness, go ahead right now and speak up. Hit *6 if you got something to say. What do you think about this idea that I just brought up with Jeffrey Jackson, given that live streaming event, talking about the big elephant in the room? Did you ever think when you... go ahead, you're on with us. Go ahead.
Yeah, I like to point out that the history of the Netherlands handing their people's government over to the Nazis during World War II, and also the Indonesian occupation from 45 to 49, where they killed and murdered a bunch of Indonesian people, and the list goes on and on and on. They're not, the Dutch government isn't. Sorry, Rick, it's Dave, by the way. You got to remember that these governments are evil. As much as you guys don't like the witnesses, you're siding with a government that probably has bad motives, evil intent. I mean,
well, hold on. Now, listen, David. Now, I'm gonna let you talk, but you gotta kind of back off a little bit. These governments don't have legal intent. They're inquiring into the Watchtower because they're diddling and molesting little children. Would you call that evil intent, David? Seriously?
Well, I mean, sometimes things happen like that all over the world.
Well,
and I would want that to stop. Yeah, I'd want them to stop.
Of course, you'd want it to stop. Well, that's why they're inquiring. Yeah. They're not looking into them as being a cult. They're not looking into the witnesses as being aberrant and strange. They're looking into the witnesses because they're pedophiles. They're molesting children. David.
What did they accuse the Jews of doing in World War II? I mean, there was a lot of. Yeah. I mean, of course, Jewish people were guilty, of certain things. Not every single Jewish person, and they will go after an organization, which is every single individual in that organization, and deem them pedophiles. That's not right.
Yeah.
That's not correct.
Well, no, we won't continue on with this, David, because it's just not going to go anywhere. It never does. But thank you for calling in. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Thanks.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, Michael.
Well, I wanted to bring up more. I listened to that here a while back, the thing about Jackson, because I wasn't sure if you spoke about it before or not. But another thing that was outstanding about it to me, he brought out that Rick, he said you could die at Armageddon and then possibly be resurrected still. Now that's a major new light there.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't pick up on that. Is that what he said?
Yeah, he said that. Because remember, he went back, he talked about the flood, and he said, well, we used to think once the door was shut, okay, when Noah and his family, they got on the ark, go back and listen to it. When they got on the ark, the door shut, and that's it. And then he goes on and he says, well, how much time did Noah and his sons really have to preach? So he was indicating, well, maybe not everybody got a full opportunity. So he was saying that people could have died in the flood and they could still be resurrected. Okay. That's the major new light. Now there was two talks about it. And remember, they even brought up the Sodomites. So that's a flip flop there. They might get resurrected. And then he's saying about in the new earth, there's lands where people didn't, maybe they haven't heard the news or whatever before Armageddon comes. I mean, to me, it's just unbelievable. So yeah, you don't have to go out in service anymore because, well, maybe they'll just get in regardless. But the whole idea was you had to be on the, because they always said the organization was the ark and only 8 people survived. And now he's saying, oh, well, which is, that's what it sounds to me like you're going back to what the early Bible students taught, the way I see it.
Well, I mean, they can make a lot of changes. Well, thank you, Mike. I'm going to go back and listen to that. I'm going to go back and listen. Okay, we have got, let's go with Quincy Mass.
Hi, Rick. I was actually just thinking that, to Julie from Boston, by the way, that they tend to, the witnesses, in my opinion, tend to contradict themselves when it comes to going either with or against the government. Like, we're allowed to with some things and other things we're not. And they contradict themselves and they scramble to answer questions that people have. And to me, that's just infuriating that they try to hide behind conflicting stories.
Well, yeah, they do. Yes, they do. Well, thank you, Julie, for checking in with us. My goodness, you're absolutely right. But see, that's what we all know here. They speak out of both sides of their tongue, both sides of their mouth. It's a forked tongue. They say different things. Thank you very much, Julie. Always good to hear from you. Thank you. All right, let's see what else is going on. We got 630. I'm not sure who that is. Is that you, Mark, or someone else? Go ahead, 630.
Yeah, it's me again, Rick. Yep, it's me. And yeah, Rick. Yeah, your topics are very good. And I want to say, in regards to Jeffrey Jackson, what I've noticed about him, and I've seen his videos and everything, I say the guy looks like, in my opinion, he's not only just clearly spaced out and doesn't know what he's doing or talking about, and obviously he's a total moron and screwball. I mean, I think he's got the demons no doubt controlling him clearly. Like he's like a puppet, to the demons. He's a puppet, and he's that's what he is. A robot, like a zombie, because that's what he exactly looks like. And I've seen his speeches, of course, like through YouTube and all that. And the guy makes no sense. He makes no sense at all in any way whatsoever. Did you ever recognize that, Rick?
Oh, yeah, I know. I've been saying that right along for many years here. I mean, the whole Watchtower, how do you make sense, Mark, out of nonsense? You can't.
Well, you don't. And you can't is right. He makes no sense. Zero. I think he might have dementia. I don't know, but there's a good chance he has dementia, yet alone the governing body still keeps him on and, gives his stupid speeches, and he doesn't know what he's talking about or saying because, he makes no sense about a damn thing he's saying. It's just, it's ridiculous. And I would just have to laugh at someone like that. And I remember a good share of circuit overseers in the past years when I was younger, seeing these guys that, when they come visit, our local congregation or at the assembly conventions, and how just ridiculous they were. They made no sense. They didn't, I mean, none. They just acted like they knew what they were talking about, truth they didn't. And I'm just saying this is just a major waste of time listening to this bull crap that they're dishing out when they don't even know what they're talking about. And none of it's making any sense. They're not referring to exactly to the Bible. It's all the Watchtower. And they would just, you really much had to laugh at them as far as I'm concerned, because they were a joke.
Well, they were a joke. Well, thank you, Mark, for weighing in with us. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate it. Yeah, thank you. All right. Well, anyways,
thank you, Rick.
Well, appreciate it. You're on JW World News. That's the news, as we say. The Watchtower doesn't want us talking about, but we've been talking about it here for 19 years, and we're going to continue on. So, anyways, I just wanted to say thank you all for coming in. We got a lot of people coming in here tonight. And if you would like to come on, I'm going to put something up here right now for you to see. If you would like to come on and be on our live stream on our live stream here on StreamYard, I'm going to put this right here, and that you can join us by dialing in on your telephone. Or what you could also do is send me a link, and I'll bring you on the live stream. And if you want to come on video, that'd be good. If not, you can just speak up. We'll bring you on. We can hear you, but we won't see you. So go ahead and give it a shot if you like. Let me just see. I do have some emails coming in. Let me see. Okay. All right. So let's go back. Let's go back to the news. Just checking my email. What happened to Robert Hendricks? Now, you know who he was? I always call him the snake of the Watchtower. Well, he's the guy that would come on and do all of these. Well, let me put a picture up so you can remember what he looks like. We haven't seen this guy. This guy is nowhere to be seen. Let me just get a picture of him here. I do have a picture here I want to show you. Robert Hendricks, he does these infomercials for the Watchtower. And this is him right here. You recognize that man right now? Well, he was their spokesman. And, I got a little video here. Why don't I share the video? I think you might enjoy seeing the video of Robert. And this is an interview that he did. Let me just get this up so that we can see it here. Just give me a second. It takes us a second to get the stream up. But let me get the stream up. Let me get the stream up, share the screen. And, okay, that's Robert Hendricks. This is a little clip. When you see the video, you'll know what I'm talking about. There's Robert Hendricks. He was talking. Well, what they would do, what Watchtower was doing is they were paying for these like infomercials. They would go to some, low key, not much listened to out in the country type TV programs. And they'd pay the TV, from what I understand, they would pay the TV station money to give a little PR about the Watchtower. And they did this with newspapers too. And they really made a concerted effort in the last couple of years to get their message out, because they knew so much of what they were, what the real world was finding out about Jehovah's Witnesses being involved in pedophilia and shunning. They had to do something to combat it. So they sent this Robert Hendricks character out. And that's what they tried to do, is give the other side of the story by paid infomercials. Well, let's listen in right now. I'm going to share this with you. Listen in. Let me just make sure we got this right. Listen in. Okay.
Well, thank you very much for coming in and explaining. The Love Never Fails International Convention of Jehovah's Witnesses will be held August 23rd to the 25th at NRG Stadium. And for more information, visit greatdayhouston.com.
Yeah, hold on one second. Let me go back. For some reason that you didn't catch the whole part of it, but let me just go back and see if I can't get this back on. Let's redo it. All right. Let's listen. This is Robert Hendricks.
Welcome back to Great Day. According to some estimates, there are about 4,200 religions and belief systems around the world. Even among same religions, there are differences in how we observe. Our next guest considers his religion as Christian. They worship at the Kingdom Hall instead of a church, and they don't celebrate Christmas or other holidays, and a funeral is called a memorial. Joining us with some clarification on what they do and do not believe, welcome Robert Hendricks, U.S. spokesman for the Jehovah's Witness. Good morning. Thank you very much.
I'm going to stop right there. Can you see him on YouTube? This YouTube was very controversial. This is Robert Hendricks. Now, look at his knee. It's placed right up against the lady's knee. She was very uncomfortable. The video is about 7 minutes long. I'm not going to play it all. But she moved aside from that. He kept putting his knee up against her knee. Not a good thing. I mean, there was a lot of people commenting on this video, but that's Robert Hendricks, the snake of the Watchtower. He's the guy that gave all this propaganda on how wonderful, how great the Watchtower organization was. Let's listen in a little bit.
All right. So by way of applause, how many of you have had a Jehovah's Witness ring your doorbell or knock on your door? Y'all are out there.
Yeah, well, we're usually not considered the neighbor next door, but the neighbor who knocks on
your door.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Because we kind of, being the neighbor next door, most people can't tell us from anybody else. We're just neighbors.
Yeah.
We have jobs. but we practice a different form of Christianity.
Yeah, and that's what I want to get at, because I think there's a lot of power in people explaining.
Notice the knee. Wouldn't you feel uncomfortable with a man that close to you and actually putting his knee on your knee? I'm telling you, I've checked this video out today in numerous occasions. Well, she pulled back. After a while, the woman pulled back. That is kind of that's unnatural. Well, would you do that if you were a man? Would you put your knee up to another woman's knee like that? I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole. But Robert Hendricks did, the snake of the Watchtower. Well, let's stop sharing. You got the idea. But where is he? The Watchtower isn't using him anymore. I'm not sure why, but Robert is not being used by the Watchtower anymore. And I'm wondering, if they got rid of him, maybe that incident right there was just spoken about too much. But he was the main man, so to speak, for the Watchtower. And so many times he came on, and during the COVID pandemic, he would come on and say how, oh, it's so wonderful. Even though we can't meet in person, we have more people meeting on Zoom. And he went to all this propaganda, and that's all it was. But that woman was very uncomfortable. And I don't know what she thinks of the witnesses, but she probably went home and said, man, that was unbelievable. Unbelievable. Well, you were on, as we say, JW World News. That's the news the Watchtower doesn't want us talking about, but we love to talk about it, don't we? We give the news and you guys can spin it. I got so many stories here I'm going to go through tonight, but let's just do this. I wanted to get in. This one really caught my attention, and I wanted to share it with you because I know a lot of people are going to make a lot of thoughts and comments about this. Now, especially for young women in the Watchtower, have you actually ever experienced slut shamming or shaming? I should say not shamming, but shaming. Have you ever experienced slut shaming? Well, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. In fact, so many women, in fact, I've got information coming into me, and we had a woman on not too long ago that talked all about this on our Sunday program. And perhaps you might even call in here tonight. We'll see. But anyways, a lot of young women in the Watchtower, that is Jehovah's Witnesses, they have been actually shamed for the clothing they wear. And many of them have been told that the clothing they wear is stumbling brothers. And they would have to change their clothing. And, we'll get into this a little bit on some of the clothing that the witness world does not like. But I did get information from one woman that I wanted to share with you. And she was called a slut or a prostitute because she had a bunch of friends. And this was during the summer, and it wasn't even at meetings. But it's very hot where she lived. They won't say where. I don't want to identify her. But it was very hot. And they weren't going to, they did go to meetings, but they weren't wearing crop tops and shorts. They were wearing them, just outside in the yard and just walking around. But some of the witnesses caught a glance of them wearing these crop tops and these shorts. And the witnesses started taking pictures of these young sisters. And they were sharing these little snapshots. And they were actually saying that, these girls, these Jehovah's Witness girls, should clean their act up. They look like a bunch of prostitutes and sluts. Can you imagine that? Well, they were very infuriated, like you would be infuriated. And it upset all of these young girls. And then they were crying. They were only in their teens. And they were crying and they were distraught. And they thought, how ridiculous is it? And they hated that other people in the congregation would dictate what they wear. And they weren't even wearing it at the meetings. They were just wearing it around the yard, so to speak. So especially considering the middle-aged women, this girl gave me the information. She said it was middle-aged women in the Watchtower. So Jehovah's Witnesses that, they were getting away. They were wearing revealing tops. They let them get away with it. They weren't very attractive. And they were already married, but the young girls, they were jumping all over. Don't wear that. Don't wear that. So the Jehovah's Witness organization is a culture of shaming and blaming the girls all of the time. It's terrible. And some of these girls are very young and inexperienced, and they can't quite understand how wrong it would be for an old man to say such things to them. Things like, "You are dressed like a prostitute." Now, I'm sure people listening to this program tonight, they know this. They have heard this. If you're a young woman and you would like to even call into the program and tell us how you were treated, we'd love to hear that. So we do have the phone lines lighting up right now. We have more to discuss about this. Let's go to, okay, looks like a Massachusetts caller. Go ahead, you're on with us. It looks like Quincy, Massachusetts.
Rick?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was actually on, speaking of something like this that happened about a month ago. I was speaking on the Sunday program, and my very first experience.
What is your name? What is your name, sister? Can I just ask your name?
My name is Courtney.
Courtney. Okay, no, I remember. Yeah, go ahead, Courtney.
And I actually spent hours looking through what I had in my closet, so I would be wearing something appropriate. I was doing a Bible study, so I wasn't an actual member of the Kingdom Hall yet. And I had a dress that was below the knee, and it was a little bit low cut, but I put something over my shoulders to cover it up. And there was a break in the side of my dress, so I put on leggings, not nylons or tights, like solid leggings. And I went into the bathroom during the meeting, and I was approached by two sisters, and they told me that I needed to cover up because it was too distracting to the brothers. And the shoes that I was wearing, it was a pair of black boots that had probably like an inch and a half heel. And they went up below my knee. And I said that I couldn't wear those because I looked like a prostitute.
That is disgusting. So this is one of your first times going to the Kingdom Hall. You're not even a member yet. You're just a study. And so you say the sisters followed you in the bathroom and said
Yes,
this?
they followed. It wasn't one of my first meetings. It was my very first meeting.
Oh, wow. That is ridiculous. That is too much. That your first meeting you go to, and I know, Courtney, you told the story before here on a Sunday, and you didn't have a whole lot of money. You were just making it by in life. You didn't have a lot of money to buy clothes, so you put together what you thought you could use that you had in your closet, and then they do this to you in your first meeting. Now that's not very Christian. No.
Maybe I was looking for them to be like offer suggestions or say if you need something to wear, reach out to us. But they were just, nope, you can't wear that. It's too distracting to the brothers. Those shoes make you look like a prostitute. And it just made me never want to go back.
I think that's exactly how most people would feel. For crying aloud, not everybody can go out and, if you have the clothes that you have and you weren't a witness, you had clothes that you had for years, so you wore that to the meeting. In your very first meeting, I can't believe, but again, I do. The belief that the witness is very judgmental. We're going to get into that in a while.
I could have worn jeans, but I didn't. I wanted to look presentable, based on what I was suggested of me to wear.
That is absolutely horrendous, Courtney. Absolutely horrendous. Well, Courtney, you stay in here with us. We do have some other calls, but you stay in with us. I got some more questions for you. But Elaine, did you want to come on? Elaine, I see Elaine in here. Go ahead, Elaine Banjo. If you want to come on, go ahead. You're on with us.
I do. Yeah. It's almost funny. It's so sad. It's funny, but I had gone home from school with a fellow witness whose father was not an elder, and she was a little taller than I am. So I borrowed one of her skirts to go to the meeting, and it was kind of like a corduroy pencil skirt, so like a straight skirt that was too long on me. It came down to the middle of my shins, but it had a slit up the front and a slit up the back, but the slit really only came to my knee. But when I bent down, I don't know, I don't remember. I think I dropped something at the meeting, and I bent all the way down to pick it up, and I kind of looked between my legs behind me, and a sister, she could see my face because I bent way down, but the slit was only to my knee. So would you believe that my friend would wear the skirt to the meetings all the time, and nobody would say a single thing? But then when I wore it, my dad was an elder, was feuding with the other elders. I got pulled into a judicial committee because that sister told on me that I was dressed inappropriately. I don't remember if they said slut or something like that, but it was a huge big deal, and I got in trouble for wearing my friend's skirt to the meeting. That was way too long on me, and it wasn't even provocative at all. So I find that so sad, it's almost funny right now. But the one thing I wanted to say about Robert Hendricks is just a comment. Robert Hendricks went to my family's congregation, and they know him very well. And I had heard from another witness who had gotten out that he is so arrogant that when he walks in with an air of confidence about him, that he really only would give the time of day to the pioneers or the elders. If you weren't a pioneer or an elder, you really didn't get any attention from him at all at the meeting. So I just wanted to share that.
Well, thank you, Elaine. Always good to hear from you. And that is Elaine. Her YouTube channel is JW Escapes. Check it out. She's a wonderful lady. Thank you, Elaine.
Thank you.
All right. Well, there you have it. I mean, people, I've got to get notes coming in. I get emails coming in, but I got one here. My sister was all upset, young sister, I don't know how old she was, but she was all upset, and she came home because she was questioned for wearing sandals in the preaching work, and her feet were showing. Well, I guess some people get offended with toes and feet. They have a little fetish for that. But boy, if it's really hot, I mean, I lived in Florida, and I mean, you'd have to kind of dress down a little bit. But this comment I got here coming here to the 6 screens tonight, her sister was wearing sandals and the elders got all upset with her. It's just absolutely unbelievable. We got another comment coming in here too. About 15 years ago, when, actually it says here that he was a ministerial servant. He was called into the back room. He was called into the back room and counseled about his wife. Well, that's what the witnesses do. The Jehovah's Witness organization, they'll call the man in. Sometimes they don't deal with the wife, but they'll call the man in. And the man, this ministerial servant, was called into the back room from this email I've got here, this note I've got coming in. So his wife, he was told his wife's tops, the tops of the blouses, the shirts that she wore, they were low cut. And apparently when the microphone handlers stood directly overhead while she was seated, they could see a bit of her cleavage. Now, they want to make a big deal out of this. So many of the mic carriers were teenage boys. Now get a load of this. This is the message coming into me here tonight. Many of the mic carriers were teenage boys, and they were worried about having women having cleavage showing when they were passing the mics. And they were saying this might lead to them developing a problem with masturbation. I mean, what type of sick minds takes place in the Watchtower? Jeez. So you have these young teenage boys. So they're saying we're going to create a problem with these young boys because they might want to masturbate after seeing an old woman's cleavage. What do you think, Dick?
Can I comment, Rick?
Yeah, go ahead, Elaine.
Go
Go ahead.
No.
I guess it's not Elaine. That's not Elaine. Now, go ahead. You're on with the sister.
Oh, thank you. I just wanted to make a comment because this is a topic that is so close to my heart because from growing up in the organization, I always felt pressure regarding my dress and grooming. My father was an elder, and he always put a lot of pressure on me in terms of what I was wearing. He was always worried if my skirts weren't long enough or if it was too tight or whatever. But as I grew up and got old and got married, I realized in the congregation there's two sets of rules. So if you're attractive and curvy and pretty and you dress in a certain way, you'll be targeted. But if you are not attractive, if you are big and huge and obese and you wear tight skirts and your stomach is hanging and your back is out, they will say nothing to you. So it is really about, from my experience, targeting those sisters that look attractive, that might look sexy, and the brothers. And some of those jealous sisters, quite honestly, will complain about you. But if you're not attractive and you're big and chubby and you don't dress nice, they don't care what you look like. And I noticed that. And I try to protect my daughter from that. She's young. She's less than 13. And one of our pioneer cousins made a comment not too long ago that her shorts were too short. We were in Florida, and they were saying her shorts were too short and that I should be careful because men will look at her. And I just thought that was a disgusting comment because she's a child. So.
Well, it is disgusting because that's what I'm finding here. I get a bunch of messages coming in that, some of these sisters were really young and they're really, really offended. I mean, 9 years old. I have a message coming in to me tonight from a 9-year-old girl that was told that, she's got to kind of do things a little differently. Let me just get to that one particular message. But she was told that, she's got to really dress differently and not be able to attract men. I mean, that's a 9-year-old. I mean, what type of perverted organization is this? That's unbelievable. No, in fact, it's
I had a brother.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was going to say I had a brother in the hall when I was going. He made a comment. My daughter was no more than 7, and he asked me if she was wearing a bra because he could see like she was poking through her dress, and that bothered me so much. I had to let my husband know this is what these disgusting men are doing.
Yeah, well, that's what's happening. And then what I see also happening here, a bunch of messages coming in here tonight about even, this one particular ministerial servant that was brought in the back room, and they told him to tell his wife to stop wearing low-cut blouses. So when they got home, he told her that, I was brought in the back room and they said that you're wearing low-cut blouses. She started to cry when they got home and she threw half of her wardrobe away. Can you imagine that? That's what they do. Yeah, they throw good clothes out because some perverted elder said, well, you can't wear that,
Thanks, Rick.
Well, thank you. Then I also have another comment. Yeah, go ahead. You're with us, Jeffrey. Go ahead.
Yeah, why are these guys bringing that up? I mean, they're obviously looking themselves and they don't want to see it because they're getting some kind of arousal. But what do you expect from an organization that believes in talking Smurf dolls?
Well, you can't expect too much, Jeff. You can't expect too much. Unbelievable. Yeah, I'm getting comments coming in here tonight that I'm finding fascinating. This one right here is a teenager. The kids in the hall would all go over to one family's house that had a pool. Oh, we used to do that, right? Yeah, on a hot summer day, the brothers invite you over. So this young girl, she went over to the brother's house. It was a girlfriend of hers that her father had the pool there in his yard. And so I'm just reading this now. So she went there and she was told that she had to wear a shirt over her bathing suit. Now, all the other girls did not have to wear a shirt over the bathing suit. So they said if she wants to come and swim again, she's going to have to wear a shirt over her bathing suit. And the reason was because she was, she was large chested. But look at that. I mean, she's just a young girl. Why do you put them through such needless concern? I have to tell you something too. I have to tell you something, and I'm going to have Dick speak up afterwards. But in fact, I had three sisters. None of them dressed in my way of thinking like a prostitute. But I remember once during the Kingdom Hall, they had a talk, and you know how the sisters would do it. They'd go up on stage and have another sister like the householder. So, anyways, my two sisters were working with each other they were working with each other to do a talk. So when it came time for them to do the talk, I remember the brother said, "Okay, now the sisters Ferrens, they will be doing their talk from their seat. They won't be on the stage." And so that was like boggling my mother. She was just furious. So I never saw that in my life. I heard about that someone does the talk from their seat. So, anyways, what happened is after the meeting, my mother went up to the elders and said, why couldn't my daughters be on the stage? My mother was furious. And they said, well, their skirts were too short. They weren't short. My sisters did not wear short skirts. So, I mean, how embarrassing. But geez, the witnesses would do that to you. Look at even Courtney that was on here earlier. Her very first meeting. Courtney, you still in with us? Is Courtney still with us? I had a few questions for Courtney.
I am, Brother Rick. I'm still here.
All right, I'm glad you're there with us, Courtney. But what I wanted to say to you is now this was your first meeting. Now you thought that Jehovah's Witnesses were a Christian meeting, a Christian organization, right?
I thought that I finally found a loving Christian community that was based on acceptance, forgiveness, and love and hope. And I was discriminated and made to feel like I was not good enough because, of other women's insecurities. And real quick, just a side comment about the little girls or teenagers going through puberty or the size of a female's breast. That's not in their control. They don't choose, unless they've had like a surgery, they don't choose to be like have a large chest or a curvaceous body or like certain features that certain other people might find attractive. They don't choose to be like that. And to be told that you can't be up on stage because something that God gave you is triggering to somebody else. These are young kids. They need someone to lead them and teach them to be confident, to love your body, not to be ashamed of it.
Well, exactly.
But, no, yes, I thought that I was going to, go to learn from a Christian community and to be accepted and loved and taught how to be to follow God's way and to have hope for a future.
So I would have to say,
I would go ahead.
So Courtney, I would imagine now that you said that's it with the witnesses, right?
Oh, it's over and done with. I'm so grateful that certain people showed me how it's all based on money and selfishness, and how, don't get me wrong, there are very loving, good people, but I had never felt so belittled in my life, and I'm so grateful that I'm not tangled up in their their lies and manipulation.
Well, thank you, Courtney. Thank you, Courtney.
So I'm so grateful I didn't get baptized or anything like that. Like I would have been stuck, and I'm just grateful that I have freedom.
Well, good for you. Well, thank you for coming back in tonight and sharing your thoughts with us. Thank you, Courtney. We appreciate it.
No, of course, I'll be here all night.
Well, thank you. Well, anyways, we also have here another message I got coming in here. When I was 12 years old, now a 12-year-old little girl, well, would you think they're a prostitute? Would you call a 12-year-old girl a prostitute? Well, you know, she says she can remember people saying that her skirt was too short, even though it was right at the knee, a 12-year-old girl. And it was always, she said, that they told her she was trying to lure men. When you were a 12-year-old girl, were you trying to lure men? Well, that's what the adults were saying in the Kingdom Hall. I mean, come on. And they kept coming up to the poor little 12-year-old girl, and she said they kept pulling her skirt down so it'd be below her knee. Or they make other statements. I got a lot of comments coming in here tonight. Some were saying that they had thin straps, you know, that they would wear. And the father would say, that looks horrible. It looks horrible. You're trying to seduce men. I mean, these are if you were a young woman in the Watchtower, these are the type of sayings, these are the type of statements that would be made against you. It's terrible, terrible. You're seducing good men by wearing that. You will ruin their career. Jeez, I'll tell you. I mean, I can see why many women would just get up and pack their bags and say, enough is enough in the Watchtower. Hey, would you like to come on? Would you like to tell your story? Go ahead. We'd love to hear from you. If you'd like to tell your story, you're on 6 screens. Yeah, all kinds of stories. People write me here tonight. I can't believe it. Unreal what some of the witnesses had to go through with their dress code. Dick Boogie, you're on with us. Go ahead, Dick.
Yeah, thanks, Rick. Their moral compass is so wrong, just so very wrong. They're concerned about a well-endowed sister's showing a little cleavage, and they're going to talk to her in the back room. But when it comes to pedophilia, my former congregation had 5 known pedophiles in it. Nobody says nothing to them, but the sister who's well-endowed, showing a little cleavage, they're going to scream at her. It's kind of off the wall, because these witnesses, they go to the beach, don't they? They go to the lake to go for a swim in the summer. You're going to see all kinds of stuff, you know, at a public beach like Hampton or Salisbury. You're going to see all kinds of very loosely clad women, and you don't hear them telling the brothers and sisters, don't go to the beach or don't go to the lake because you might get aroused and masturbate. They're so sick. Thanks, Rick.
Oh, thank you, Dick. Okay, let's go with, it looks like we had, let's go with 347. 347, you're on with us.
How are you? Did you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, I had a situation where the elder called to my attention because when we used to have a congregation book study, I wore a turtleneck.
Oh, so you wore a turtleneck? They didn't like the turtleneck.
They didn't like the turtleneck. A nice, beautiful turtleneck that I bought in Bloomingdale, New York. Nice $200 cashmere turtleneck with a beautiful blazer jacket. I like to wear nice clothes. I've always been a snappy dresser. And he brought it to my attention.
Oh, that's just good.
I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I mean, I wanted to, I couldn't believe what I was hearing. And then about a year later, this very same elder, right, it was molesting his daughters and coming out of a rehab. He had 2 daughters. And I always wondered, they seemed to be very afraid of their father, you know? It wasn't like, a respectful fear, it was a fear. It's like they had a morbid fear of their father. I hope you're hearing me.
Oh, yeah, I hear you. No, I'm just sitting back here thinking, my goodness gracious, it's just crazy what goes on in that organization, brother.
Yeah, these people are sick, man. You know what I'm saying? And you're right. It's funny. With this shutting thing, my neighbor who lives next door, I'm in apartment G. She's in apartment F, right next door. You know, known her, lived here for 43 years. When I told her what I found out about, the Steering Wheel Commission, stop talking to me. Stop talking to me. I'm an apostate. Can you believe that? I mean, I've known you for 43 years. You've never known me to lie to you. You've never known me to be dishonest. And you're treating me like public enemy number one.
Well, that's what they do. That's what they do. It's unbelievable. It's a screwy organization. Well, thank you for coming and being with us tonight. Always good to hear from you. Don't be a stranger now. Come back and see you soon.
Yeah, you're doing crazy. You're doing the strangest things, man. They have the strangest, weirdest behavior.
Hey, listen, we all know it. It's all well. Thank you for chiming in. Thank you. I got a bunch of messages coming in here to Six Screens tonight. Now this is two young men. It's not only men get picked on too for the clothes they wear. I mean, we all got picked on for wearing certain type clothing. I did myself, and it doesn't always have to be provocative, sex revealing type clothing. But I got some comments coming in here from a 16 and 17-year-old brothers. And just hold on 1 second. I gotta mute some people here on the line. I gotta mute some people. Just hang on. We'll get right to you in a couple of minutes. So don't go anywhere. We'll get right to you. But anyways, I do have a message coming in here from 16. Well, he says that when they were 16 and 17, they were volunteering to work on a quick build assembly hall. There was a couple hours from their home. They were working on the assembly hall. It was really, really hot. And so one of the elders picked them up to bring them to the assembly hall, and they were dressed to work in the heat, T-shirts and shorts. They spent all day in the sun pulling weeds and moving construction material around. And then at the end of the day, on the way home, the brother that took them there said that he was pulled aside, and he said that those brothers that you brought to the construction site weren't dressed right. They needed to practice modesty. Friends, it was 103 degrees, very, very hot. As a matter of fact, there were some people who were actually passing out, or at least suffering from heat stroke and heat exhaustion that day. And yet they're going to be counseled on wearing shorts? My goodness, and T-shirts? Come on, what's the matter with the Watchtower? Now, this one I wanted to share with you. I got these messages coming to me when I was 9 years old. A little 9-year-old sister, someone gave her a pair of old pumps, shoes. And she had little tiny feet, and she put the little pumps on, and she had a little bow that she put on top of it. And her father, who evidently was a staunch witness, he saw her wearing the little shoes, the little pumps, and told her she'd look like a prostitute. Imagine telling that to your little 9-year-old daughter. Because she loved the shoes. She loved the shoes, but yet she was picked on for doing that. Isn't that? It's just sad. It's sad what goes on behind the curtains. Okay, if you want to speak up, you're on with us. Go ahead, hit *6. That will bring you on the call tonight. It's just amazing.
Hey, Rick.
Yes.
Hey, Rick, I just want to come on. I called in about 2-3 weeks ago, and I just want to say again, thank you so much for what you do here on the Six Screens. This is literally great therapy for me, and I just look forward every Saturday to hearing the show and all the other hosts you accommodate. So we just want to lift you up, Rick, and just thank you so much for what you're doing. I can't thank you enough for how much this show has helped me, and I'm sure it's helped others too. So just wanted to leave it at that, Rick. But thank you. Hopefully my wife and I can make it out to the convention. But I don't want to go through Boston if there's a whole bunch of illegal aliens stuck in the airport.
Well, I saw that this week. Hopefully the migrant crisis will be, gone away with by then. I hope. I'm not sure. But don't you worry. I mean, I'll come get you personally if I have to. Okay? But if you and your wife could,
Thanks, Rick. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I always wanted to go to Boston, so I'm really looking forward to see if I could make it out there with my wife.
Well, Boston in the summertime is just beautiful. The winter's not that great, but in the summer, you're not going to beat it. You got to come to New England. It's beautiful up here. It's nice and cool for the most part. Beautiful green. So I'd love to have you come. Thank you, brother, for calling in. Thank you for those kind comments too. Thank you. All right.
Thanks so much, Rick. We love you now.
Well, okay, thank you. That's great. We love you too. We love all the listeners that call into the Six Screens every Saturday night. In fact, like I say, 26 years, well, not 26 years ago, but 19 years ago on the 26th of January. That's just yesterday, was it? What's today? The 27th? Yeah. So just yesterday was 26 years. I keep saying 26 years. Was actually 19 years that we've been doing this program.
Hey, Rick.
Yes.
Hey, Rick, I got a story. I got a couple stories actually, but I won't talk about mine because it was a hell of a time in Chicago. But anyway, I wanted to touch on the brothers because when I moved to Florida, I went to an assembly and there was quite a few congregations I went to that it was with the black brothers. Some of them would wear these loud color suits. And so I recall one assembly in Plant City, and I want to say that they gave a whole talk on like it being distracting, and I thought that was so funny. But I used to get pulled to the side a lot because I had the Jezebel spirit in me or whatever, but I didn't care. But anyway, thank you, Rick.
Well, that's interesting you say Plant City. I used to go to that assembly hall too. So yeah, I in fact actually helped build that hall. Yeah, that assembly hall. Well, thank you for calling in, sister. Always good to hear from you. My goodness, always great to hear from new ones. Okay, you're on Six Screens, JW World News. Go ahead, 904. You're on with us. Hit *6. Yes, go ahead. 904 602. Go ahead, 602. Looks like Gilbert Gonzalez.
Hey, Rick, tell me if I'm wrong. I'm sure you will, your audience too. But let me kind of not defend the Watchtower, or defend the elders. But you were almost an elder, and you knew a lot of men that you liked that didn't do this. They weren't looking at other women or little girls, but a small number of elders did. So let's say you had a congregation of 10 elders. 2 or 3 would love to give these talks, would love to give these counsels, but 7 of them would not. They would just ignore it. Like, I don't even want to talk about it. So what happens is, I think, because I'm trying to look at it from a different perspective and thinking, Watchtower has built a culture. You see, this is how you explain the Australian Royal Commission. They have built a culture in their religion that allows these men to find a home and to thrive. So if you ever were an elder, Rick, you would speak up. But what would happen is they would identify you, these perverts, and they would know Rick is not on our team, and they would find ways to get rid of you. And we're going to bring in another one. And this is how they literally take over an organization. So so what I'm trying to say is that the Watchtower has our relatives, our friends, and we know a lot of them are very good men and faithful to their wives. They're not perverts. So how does this happen? Because by design, the Watchtower has built a culture that allows these perverts to thrive. They know it and they play the game. Whereas you and I, we don't see it till after we leave. And then we look back and we thought, oh my God, it all makes sense now. This is why they didn't like me. This is why they didn't have Rick Farron over for dinner. This is why they didn't have you over here or have you over there. Because Jesus said, from the abundance of a man's heart, his mouth speaks. So when you would speak, you would say, hey, why don't you just mind your own business? They knew that you weren't part of their club. You weren't a pervert. But see, perverts know who other perverts are because they like talking about that stuff. And so they form a community of perverts. They have their little cliques. And so what I'm trying to say is that the Watchtower knows this. They're not stupid. They have very, very intelligent psychologists who work in their religion. We all know that. And so what I'm saying is they have built a culture that allows for pedophiles and also perverted men to thrive. And the people who love their wives, love families, love their children, they leave. They can't, and it's not till later that it all makes sense. That's just my 2 cents. So I'm not defending the elders, but I know without having talked to you, Rick, I know you have family and friends that are in that religion that do not do this. It's just they're caught in a trap. They're caught in a religion that is governed by these perverts. Am I wrong? I hope I'm wrong.
Well, I don't think you're wrong. I really don't think you're wrong. I mean, after 19 years of doing this program, Gilbert, I can't believe how perverted. I've never. These men have a dirty mind. I can't imagine that, men are turned on by everything. I mean, even by a woman wearing sandals. Is that going to turn a man on because you saw her toes? I mean, come on. Geez, they're painting. I feel embarrassed about all this. They're painting all men to be looking like perverts. That's not all men. I don't look at a woman's sandals and her bare feet and go, "Oh, that's sexy." Jeez, what type? Yeah.
I'll explain to you how it happens. I heard this at a talk show one time. I'm not going to mention his name, but he's very, very famous talk show guy, and he said that how these pedophiles work, these perverts work, is they find a host body. They're like termites, and all they need to do is penetrate one wall. And so as the termite goes up, he has a colony. So when the Jehovah's Witness pedophile becomes a publisher, he becomes a ministerial servant, an elder, a circuit district overseer, finally gets to the governing body like the old Greenleafs. So you think, how is it that all of these pedophiles have reached the top? Because only one wall was compromised. But now the whole building is compromised from the top down. That's how the termites work. So this could happen to your boys club. This could happen to your fire department, your school. It could happen to any organization. The point is that Watchtower has governing body members that have been removed because of pedophilia. They're already at the top. And now they bring that culture down. And so the rest of the walls in the building are good men, honest men. But they don't know that they've been caught in a trap. You see, they don't know that the pedophiles have beat them. They were hiding in the other corner and they got up the other wall. And their pervertedness has reached the top. That's how it happens.
May I comment, Rick?
Courtney, you're all set. Go ahead. Say hello to Gilbert.
Hey, Gilbert. You made a really good point right there. It almost seems like they hide it in the beginning until they assume or reach a certain position of power. And then they prey upon the vulnerability and the weakness of, younger boys or girls, younger men and women. And then they make them feel like, it's something that Jehovah is okay with because they wouldn't be in the position of power they were in if it wasn't something Jehovah had in their plan. And for some reason, it's actually not really only men who take advantage sexually of people. I've heard many stories from younger boys and girls that were sexually taken advantage of by sisters when they were out on field service. And it's almost like they were told that this is the way that you can make Jehovah happy, that you can be taken in and trusted. It's almost like they're made to feel like it's not wrong until they realize that, oh, I can get in trouble for this, and it's not until other people realize, like when it's too late, that, a overseer, raped a little kid, pardon my bluntness. It's only until it's too late to do something about it that are they willing to admit that they've made these kinds of people, they put them in that position of power, that they were fooled and they were tricked, and they don't want to admit their mistakes. So they scramble last minute to hide it or try to cover it up.
Hey, Rick. Yeah, I agree with what she's saying, and I talked about this the very first day that it came out. Have you noticed how the two members of the governing body, Rick, they don't exude testosterone? How come they didn't get a 45-year-old man who was in the jungles of Bolivia and in South America and in the jungles of Africa as a missionary, who say weighs 225 pounds, 6 feet tall, and he's built like a machine? Why? They picked metrosexual men, guys that wear makeup and pluck their hair. Look at those guys. They have when a man goes and gets his fingernails polished and his fingernails look nicer than women in the congregation, and he's now the leader of your church. I'm telling you, Rick, this is by design. I'm not trying to be sexist, but they're driving the testosterone out of the religion. You're seeing it with your eyes. If it was me, and I'm telling you, that's why I'm GG for GB, if I was going to get a man in the governing body position, I want him to look like Sylvester Stallone. I'd want him to look like he's a man that's going to go to town, and he's going to he means business, and he's going to, when he tells the Australian Royal Commission, yes, we are going to go after these guys. It'll scare the pedophiles, and they'll go to another religion. They'll go somewhere else. But Watchtower picks the most girliest of men to go up on stage. Look at their broadcasting. They do not look like masculine men. And I know this offends a lot of people, especially our but it's, to me, it's clear as day.
Do you think like someone who looks like Sylvester Stallone could be controlled if they said don't do that? So
no,
you're right. They
drive
look
him
for
away.
the ones that they can control and manipulate.
Because people like that are going to be driven away. They're going to disfellowship them. They're going to not give him privileges. They're not going to promote him. You see, I've seen it with my own eyes that men that abuse women, that have adulterous relationships, get promoted to Bethel service, while other men who have all of the credentials that look like men are fired.
Real men.
Yeah. Yes. No, but I'm saying, what I'm saying is image is very important, and Watchtower is giving you an image. Just look at JW Broadcasting. It does not exude testosterone. I'm sorry, it doesn't. They do not speak like men. A real man speaks the way I'm talking to you right now. They speak in mellow, dramatic voices. And in Spanish, we say palabras melosas, mellow words. And if you listen to them, they always speak. They speak, I'm sorry, women are supposed to speak this way. This is why I like talking to women. They're like, or my mom, because she would talk in a mellow tone. A man, that's why men like talking to women. But when a man talks, he needs to talk like a man. And none of the governing body members spoke like men other than Anthony Morris. And what a coincidence that guy that had a little bit of testosterone is no longer serving in the governing body, because he actually exuded a little bit of testosterone. I'm telling you, man, this is not a coincidence. You're seeing it in Cat Williams is talking about that. 50 million views in 1 week. He's talking about how people are compromised. Carrie Lake is talking to you about how people are bribing. The people are being compromised. And they're not replacing or putting people in power or giving people jobs that are masculine. You're seeing it in politics, you're seeing it in pop culture, you're seeing it in music, and you're seeing it in religion. And what happens when you have Catholic priests in California and in the United States that speak up against pedophilia, that speak up against right and wrong? The Pope goes after those men because they are a threat. Masculine men are a threat to these organizations. That's all I got, Rick. I hope I made you look good, because that's the job of the caller.
Well, you always make me look good. You always make me look good, but that's a different perspective. I've never heard that before. But thank you for sharing that with us, Gilbert. Thank you.
Okay,
Yes.
I love you, love.
Okay, Dick, did you want to say something? Yes, go ahead, Dick.
Yeah, I would. I think that Gilbert is spot on. I thought that was a really, really well spoken what he put down. I remember when I was asked to study with a pedophile, and he told me that there were 5 other pedophiles in the congregation. Well, I didn't believe him, but it turned out that there were 5 that we knew of that were pedophiles. And I think Gilbert's right. They do attract other pedophiles. And right now, we know in the flock book, it's not a disfellowshipping problem. If you're an elder and you're watching kiddie porn, you're not going to be removed, or you might not be removed. You certainly won't be disfellowshipped, because that organization is loaded from the top to the bottom with pedophiles. Thanks, Rick.
Well, thank you, Dick. Well, listen, you're on JW World News. That's the news the Watchtower doesn't want us talking about, but we talk about it here every Saturday night, every other Sunday, including tomorrow, beginning at 1 o'clock. We take a different feel on Sunday. We get into the theological teachings of the Watchtower. Now, if you left the Watchtower, we don't get into theological teachings on Saturday night, but on Sunday, we get into the scriptures. We get into theological reasoning in the Watchtower. So if you like that type of a program, join us tomorrow beginning at 1 o'clock. We have a program called Knowing God. And then at 2 o'clock, we have another program. And this program is really good as ex-Jehovah's Witnesses share their story in the Watchtower. Tomorrow, we have a 20-year-old man that will be coming on. He just left the Jehovah's Witnesses, and he is going to tell us how evil that organization is from a 20-year-old perspective. He'll be on with us tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Don't miss the call. I think you'll really, really will enjoy it. He's going to tell us all about his trek in the Watchtower. He's only 20 years old, but he just got out, so we're looking forward to that. Okay, let's go with 347. Go ahead, 347.
Okay, this is me again. I wanted to ask you a question. Do you know who Ted Jarrett was?
Yes, I do, yeah.
He was a member of the governing body.
That's right.
Do you know that he's the one that put the 2-witness rule into effect?
I didn't know that, but thank you for sharing that. Yeah.
It was him, and he was a pedophile. So the guy who put the 2-witness rule into effect, Ted Jarrett, was himself a pedophile.
Well, I don't discount it. I have heard that. I know that he was a perverted man. We did have a woman on our program years ago named Pat Gaza. She didn't have too much good to say about him. She claimed that he was a perverted man as well. Well, thank you for letting us know that. Appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, anyways, we got, I put another question out this week on people feeling sick at meetings. Did you ever feel sick at a Jehovah's Witness meeting? Boy, I can't believe the amount of people that gave me information on this. They're saying, in fact, the biggest problem that witnesses had in feeling sick at meetings had to do with panic attacks. Yeah, and suicide ideation. I never would have thought that. If I asked my audience, what's the biggest problem with Jehovah's Witnesses feeling sick at meetings, I would have think, well, they're too boring. You can fall asleep. It just makes you feel nauseous. But no, the biggest reason that Jehovah's Witnesses feel sick at meetings is panic attacks and suicide ideations. I never would have thought that. when I stop and think about it, many people, I do know this, many people wrote into me and told me they've been sending me information. Many people would say before they went to a meeting, they would drink before the evening meeting. They would have a mixed drink, and then they'd go to the meeting, and the drink would calm their nerves down. Well, we talked about that last week, right? Watchtower, alcoholism in the Watchtower. Many Jehovah's Witnesses, you can believe it or not, but they go to the meetings and they're under the influence of alcohol. But it was panic attacks. That's what really got me thinking about this. More witnesses said that when they went to meetings, of all the people that answered my thoughts and questions here and giving me information, they're saying that the most acute problem was panic attacks. And they would have that problem. They would have that problem when they went to the meeting. Did you ever have a panic attack when you went to the meeting? In fact, people have talked about having headaches. And they had a headache all the time. They were at the meeting. But when they got home, it disappeared. People were saying to me that they were very tense. They were anxious. They were depressed. Overall, just miserable going to the meetings. But this intense suicidal thoughts and anxiety, that's what really got my attention. What do you have to say, Apostle Babe?
Yes, I used to have panic attacks all the time, and they're horrible. They're horrifying, and they're horrible. And for me, I wanted to avoid the places where I had these panic attacks. So it was like there's nothing to fear but fear itself. Never cared for that comment because my panic attack actually would circle because then I got scared of the panic attack, which rolled over into another panic attack and then another one. You see what I'm saying? It's horrible. And that started when I was 16. And I believe it's because of the fear induction or fear indoctrination that we're given. Pictures of Armageddon, you're not going to survive. We never know if we're going to survive because there's never an assure. We don't know for sure, you know. Another thing, when you were talking earlier about people getting talked to, especially the women, about what they're wearing, this is one of those things that's almost a grooming thing for somebody that has a position of authority or power, for them to do to other people to get them in a place of trauma and shame, and then they'll later compliment them. So it's sporadic compliments and then put downs and compliments and then put downs. And it's a way of grooming them to make them dependent upon that person, or the organization does it to us as well.
My name is Kathy Harrison. Life as a prostitute is a daily negotiation between survival and self-preservation, a journey marked by the blurred lines between necessity and exploitation. Each encounter becomes a transaction, a delicate balance of power and vulnerability, where the body becomes both commodity and currency.
Well, I'm not sure what that was all about, Apostle Babe, but go ahead, Apostle Babe. Go ahead, you continue.
Okay, that's what I just kept thinking. These sporadic, compliments and then condemning them, compliments and condemning them. And when it comes out of left field, like a person that knows that they've dressed modestly and then they're told that they haven't, they're just flabbergasted, like they can't even, where, like how? So this is also like a gaslighting thing for confusion. When you get somebody confused or you get them scared or in that place of like that, you can easily guide them to the next step that you want them to go to. It's a manipulation technique.
Absolutely. In fact, I agree with you 100%, Linda. It's just unbelievable. But the information that's coming to me here tonight, the 6 screens concerning meetings, and I'm having a hard time even putting this together, but many of these people, it goes beyond panic attacks. Many of these people had intense suicidal thoughts and anxiety. That is just absolutely crazy that people would have that. But go ahead, Courtney. Yep.
Sorry,
Bye-bye.
Yeah. I wasn't even actual member yet. And I was so afraid of not being good enough, of not being accepted, and because of things that have happened to me in my past. That's something that mental health wise I have always struggled with. And I also suffer from having suicidal ideation. And when I am put in a situation where I'm afraid of rejection, that kicks in. And I thought that I was going to be, brought into a community that was going to love me and accept me for who I am. But instead, they made me feel like I would never be good enough. And if it wasn't for my husband, who is a ex-witness, I can't say for certain, I would not have acted on thoughts and feelings that I had during that time of wanting to self-harm or feeling like I would be better off if I didn't wake up in the morning.
Wow. Well, so you did suffer from suicide ideation then, Courtney. Boy, oh boy. Well, we're sorry to hear that. That's a crummy feeling, I'm sure. But you're doing better now, right?
I am, I'm not cured. Every day is a new journey. However, I have people in my life that give me reason to not pay attention to that negative aspect. I have hope. I found hope now.
Well, that's what we all that's what we all need.
I never would have had that if I stayed with the witnesses.
Oh, good for you. Good for you, Courtney. I'm glad that you got away from those guys, because I mean, you do know that there's been so many problems, but it seems like you're doing better, and you just keep up the good work and move in the right direction, and God be with you. Thank you, Courtney.
Thank you, brother.
All right, well, let's see what else is going on behind the curtains. Some people actually have nightmares. Did you dream about going to the meetings or conventions? I do. Now, sometimes they are nightmares, really, but many people say to me, they're writing in here today, they're telling me that they have nightmares about going back to the meetings. Oh, my goodness. I in fact, almost every night I dream about a meeting or a convention. Unbelievable. Hey, let's listen into 703. 703. Go ahead. What do you have to say? 703. You're on with us. Go ahead. Hit *6. There you go. Yep.
Hey, I was just going to say that I know that there was a couple of things I wanted to comment on. But when I went to Kingdom Hall, during the time that I was having a really hard time growing up, I was raised as a Jehovah's Witness, but my parents wouldn't go because they were sick a lot and had headaches, so I would have to go and answer for them, like why they weren't there. But I would always try to wait until the last minute. That wasn't the last minute, because you couldn't walk in the door at the last minute, because then you would get attacked at the end of the meeting. Like, what's going on? Like, why are you late? Do you not want to socialize, or what's going on with that? And so everything was scrutinized. So it was tons of anxiety surrounded by the meeting, and it engulfed my entire childhood life. Like, you think about normal people got to take a break. And as a kid, I didn't get to take a break. I was literally going nonstop every single day of my life. Monday went to school. Tuesday went to school and went to the meeting. Monday I was supposed to study for that meeting, but Tuesday usually I had to do a quick study for it. Wednesday went to school to study for another meeting. Thursday went to school, went to another meeting that I probably quick studied for right before the meeting, because I had to have it highlighted, otherwise you get scrutinized. Friday went to the meeting, and then there was field service. When you got to be like 10 years old, you had to go out and field service, like more. Saturday was field service, Sunday was meeting, and then it all started over again. So you never got to breathe. And if you think about that, in a sense, in a normal person's life, that's not normal.
to have your entire life not be able to take a break. A couple of the comments about CSA and elders, the good elders and elders that weren't involved in pedophilia, but everybody knew about it though. But the books would tell them, well, don't spend too much time on it, and they gave them specific instructions and told them this is how you handle it, and then move on. So these good elders, they did see it though, and when you pointed out to them,
Son of Han here, Cloudy V. Han, hey Rick, one time I had these two motherfucking Mormons stalking my apartment in Pelham
I'm sorry, sister. Go
Concrete
ahead.
and surveyed my goddamn attic. What in the fuck, Rick?
Go ahead, sister. Sorry, sister. Go ahead, sister. You're all set. Just some drunken.
it was okay. It's okay. So the good elders did see it, and when you bring it up to them today, it's like they can't see it. I mean, I even had my father tell me, "Oh, the Bible doesn't say anything about age and sex," and I'm like, "Are you kidding me? Like, do you need a Bible to tell you that you're not supposed to have sex with a 10-year-old?" Like, it's just the amount of stuff that good-hearted people say because they think this is what they're supposed to say because the Bible said this and the Bible said that. They're not even thinking about what they're saying. They're just saying what somebody else told them to respond. They have all these responses, and that's all they use is these responses. And when you talk about a culture, it's a culture is meant for repeating a specific thing. So if you use it as a noun in a scientific verbiage, a culture is designed to create an environment to make the exact same thing, to grow more bacteria or to grow more viruses. So to me, if you're in a culture, get out. You can't spell culture without cult.
Well, thank you very much, sister, for bringing that to our attention. We always appreciate listening to you, and thank you for coming into the 6 Screens tonight. So, who else would like to speak up? 276, you're on with us. Go ahead.
Yes, Rick.
Yes.
You think unbelieving this is contribute to the organization?
I'm sorry, go ahead. I didn't quite catch what you said.
Regular people out there that aren't. Rick, I don't but drink. they contribute I to smoke Jehovah's and Witnesses. jack off all day. Drinking is for faggots.
Go ahead. Go ahead, sir. I had a hard time hearing what you're saying. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
Don. I'm sorry, Rick. Somebody's coming in there.
Yeah, we got the drunken Bethelites coming in once again, but go ahead. Don't worry. We'll get you through here. Go ahead.
I just wonder if, like, regular people contribute to the Watchtower tract of society.
Well, what would be the question, sir? I'm trying to just decipher what you're saying. Go ahead. Go nice and slow with it so we get what you're saying, okay?
Okay, Rick. Do like non-believer, like regular people, do they contribute to the Watchtower?
No, regular people don't. I mean, there'd be no reason for them to. It's only that contribute financially. No, they wouldn't. No regular person in their right mind would contribute money to the Watchtower. Only those people that are loyal to it would. Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted because I used to work with a lot of people that they were real big with Jim Baker and Tammy Faye and all that.
Yeah. Well, no, I wouldn't. I don't know. Maybe some people. Some people do give at the door. They give $5 or $10. I used to get it when I was a witness going door to door. People would say, "Well, here, take." I can remember one guy gave me $10 one day. Well, give it to your church. They can use it. They're great people, but they're not really. So I think you're new here to the 6 Screens at 276. Are you new? This is you're a new caller, are you?
Well, I've talked to Inez before. I've been listening to you all the time.
Yeah, well, very good. Very good. So you talked to my former wife. Yes, you used to talk to people as well. So you go way back then, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
You can call me anytime. I was brought up in the Bonham congregation.
What type of congregation?
Bonham, Texas.
Oh, Bonham, Texas, right. Well, that's the Kingdom Hall that had problems, right? When they tried to sell it off.
Yeah, absolutely.
Were you part of that? Were you involved with that?
I got out of there just in time.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting.
But I knew Ralph Deal and all of them, you know.
Oh, yeah, no, I had all those guys on the program. They all came on the program years ago and talked. Well, thank you. Thank you, brother, for coming on. Always good to thank you for checking in with us. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. Talk to you later.
Thank you. 970, go ahead. 970, you're on with us. Go ahead. What do you have to say, 970?
Yeah, this is Joe Dario from Colorado.
Yeah,
How you
Joe.
doing, Rick?
How are you, Joe? Haven't heard from you for a while. Always good to hear from you. You light up my night when you call in. Yep.
Yeah, I've actually been struggling a lot. I've been out for 11 years, as you know, but I'd like to, if you don't mind, I'd like to share why I think I have severe anxiety, depression, mental illness. I think I've tied it down, but I'm so grateful you're talking about this tonight because I almost ate a bullet yesterday. I almost put a 9mm in my head, and I don't want to go there. I'm sick. I just realized that you will never escape the Watchtower. I've been out for 11 years. The nightmares haunt me, and I'm going to tell you why. I think there's so much anxiety, depression, loneliness. I was indoctrinated at 3 years of age. I get Armageddon shoved in my face, the images, the pictures, and while I'm being indoctrinated, going to meetings, going in service, I'm seeing total hypocrisy. My mom's husband was a full-blown pedophile. The uncle that got everybody in the Watchtower was a pedophile. I would be beaten on a daily basis. And Veronica, the woman that brought me in the world, she knew it was happening. She didn't do anything to protect me. On top of that, and I hope I'm not talking too loud. On top of that, you've got the indoctrination at the meetings where you can't. I'll never forget when I wanted to play Little League baseball. Can't do it. I wanted to join sports. Can't do it. Can't do holidays. I was the most loneliest kid ever. Now here's where the hypocrisy comes in. Simon, the ministerial servant, the pedophile ministerial servant that could go into the Kingdom Hall with a suit and everybody loved the guy, his kids could join sports and the elders never did anything to him. This was in the 60s and 70s. So there was a double standard. They got to have friends because they were his children. I was not his kid. He would spit it. We would come home from a meeting and he would spit on me and call me a bastard. Okay? So I got mixed signals. You go to the Kingdom Hall and it's all supposed to be the so-called truth. And then I see all this hypocrisy. I think I shared stories with you where several elders killed themselves. You know, they had just as many divorces as other organizations, just as much infidelity, sexual abuse, physical abuse. There was nothing different. But that's what I grew up in thinking, well, but they're telling me it's the so-called truth. And I remember being so lonely. I only had I had 3 friends that were witness kids. They're dead. They were strong enough to eat a bullet. Well, one overdosed. But here I am, and I'm going to just tell you, I'll try to cut it off because I know other people want to talk. I actually escaped when I was 18, got sucked back in because of the fear of Armageddon, ended up playing their game, being an elder, doing bad stuff for the Watchtower. So now I got a double whammy.
I just off hard to your show last week. You should have seen all the cum on my curtains and
Muted. Goodbye.
Go ahead, Joe. Go ahead. Joe, you still there? Go ahead, Joe. You're still talking. Go ahead. Well, we had Joe on with us. We do have the Drunken Bethelites coming in once again tonight. But Joe, you're on with us. Go ahead. Whoop. Okay, so anyways, let's just stop here. We're going to restart the program tonight, friends. Just stay with us. We're going to get the telephone line goes off every 6 hours, so we'll get it back on. So don't go anywhere. We want to hear more.
Welcome into the live 6 Screens conference calls. We thank you for joining in.
Yeah, after 6 hours, the telephone line goes off, so we lost Joe, but we'll go back. We'll listen to Joe. Stay with us. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with the 6 Screens.
Remember when you are unmuted.
Yeah,
Your phone is a
our
microphone
telephone
and
line
picks
goes
up
off
on
every
all
6
noises
hours,
in
so
the
we have to
background.
restart it again. So
We
don't
hope you
go
enjoyed the
anywhere.
program tonight.
We're doing that right
You
now.
will now be placed into the conference.
All right, hold on.
If you are the host, press star now. Otherwise, please enter your.
All right, just
Thank
listening
you.
right now.
There
We'll be
are
right back. We'll be all set to go.
Participants
All
in the
right.
conference. Recording did not start because your storage is full.
Okay, storage is
Please
full, but
log
we are
in and
recording
delete
this, so don't worry
recordings
about it.
or purchase more storage from your account.
Joe, you with us?
All participants are muted, and they can unmute themselves.
All right, Joe, we're going to unmute you right now. I want to bring you right back on. Hello, Joe. I'm not sure why that music is coming through.
All participants are muted, and they can unmute themselves.
Just give us 1 second here, folks. All right. Joe, you're back on with us. Let's unmute you right now, Joe. That's good.
I'll end this by just saying I'm sick. I'm lonely. I have nobody because I'm excommunicated. I was actually talking to a person yesterday, a fellow worker. I still work. I have to work to keep my mind going. But I was actually saying if I go back into the Watchtower, I would at least be able to. I live the most loneliest life. I have no friends. There's no tribe. I have nobody. I live in a town of 38,000, and every witness hates me to the core because I'm an apostate. I'm a mentally diseased apostate, and I never had the ability to make friends in the first place. Oh yeah, I had friends when I was in the Watchtower, but I actually told this guy that I was working with that if I wanted to go if I wanted a wife, I could go back into the Watchtower and get reinstated, and within a year, I would be married. But because I'm out of the Watchtower, I live this lonely existence. This is my life, Rick, and I'll end it here. Work, home, work, home. That's all I have.
Well, Joe, you have a lot of you have a lot of friends here, Joe. You have a lot of friends. I've missed you. We all love you, Joe. You're a good man. You have a lot of friends here on the 6 screens. Now, Dick and Constance, you know them, right?
Yeah, and they're very good to me. They're very kind, but I'm not well. I'm not well. I have panic attacks constantly. I don't sleep at night. And I just wanted to share this with you. But I think a lot of it is the confusion as a child. You know, you soak up all this stuff as a child. My brain was a sponge soaking up dysfunction, and then you go to the meeting and it's paradise. Go home, dysfunction, get the crap beat out of you. And then you go to the Kingdom Hall, and guess what? It's paradise again. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of dysfunction, paradise, and I'm still living it. But anyway, Rick, I appreciate you letting me talk. I'll let you go.
Well, no, we want you to talk, Joe. It's very important to get this out of your system. I know the Watchtower's hurt so many people, Joe. But, you know, we have Dick and Constance. They're coming on next. They're going to be talking about all the problems the Jehovah's Witnesses have caused people. So can you speak up on their program as well?
Yeah, I'll stay on the line.
Yeah, stay on the line. They're coming on next. They'd love to talk to you. I know they love you. I mean, I was just talking to them last week, and they said they really love Joe. And all these people, I'm looking at the YouTube people calling in here tonight. Joe, you're part of our community. We love you, and you're gonna fit in here. Don't you worry. Don't you worry about what the Watchtower's done to you. You're out of it now. You can move on. I mean, there's a lot of residual problems that they put in your head, but you're gonna flush that out. So Dick and Constance are coming on next. They're going to talk about all the problems the Watchtower has caused mentally on people. So don't you go anywhere, okay?
Okay.
All right. Joe, thank you. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for coming on and talking about this. You're helping a lot of people by doing this. We really mean that, Joe. So you hang in with us. We're going to go to another program, and I want you to stay with us, Joe. Don't you go anywhere. Okay, that's Joe D'Addario. We love Joe. We all love him, right? Yeah, he's doing a great job, and he's trying to do everything he can to let people know, even him coming on here tonight and talking about the problems the Watchtower has caused for him is helping you. Thank you, Joe, for speaking up and talking. You're an honest man. We love you, Joe. All right, now listen, friends, we are going to end this program. We have got a special program coming up next with Dick and Constance Borghi. They're going to talk about mental illness in the Watchtower. Don't you miss the program. It's going to be a great program. In the meantime, I want to thank everyone for coming into JW World News tonight, and all those that commented not only on YouTube and Facebook and even the video suite, even though it's down tonight, we'll be back next week with the video suite. Friends, keep standing tall. Don't you ever give in. Now, we do have a program tomorrow beginning at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, Sunday edition of JW World News coming up at 3. But we do start our programs tomorrow at 1 o'clock. So be with us. Thank you all for coming in. We're going to end the program right here. And then we're going to go to Dick and Constance Borghi. They're going to program mental illness in the Watchtower coming up next. Stay with us.